Young Hisako is growing into her powers and still struggling to find her place in the world, but is she so truly alone with this plight? Well, let's hop into the pages of Ultimate X-Men issue number 3 and find out what happens next together, shall we? So then, as we open up on this book, we're actually treated to a special little flashback to 2 years ago. We see Hisako, before her powers developed, playing what I can only describe as some sort of Japanese equivalent to the Ouija board game involving a yen piece. Here's the twist though, when the game is over, Hisako asks about the strange young man with a very familiar-looking hairline who brought it to school, only to have her other classmates go that they've never seen that guy before and don't know his name. Oh yeah, that's not foreboding as hell. I don't think that will become important later on at all, will it? As we transition back to the present, we see that Hisako and her new friend Mei are sitting on the bench in gym class, a position I know all too well. It's in this issue we learn that Mei is actually something of an image board addict. In fact, she's been searching online right now, and it seems that this whole Tsubasa suicide and the other suicides that followed have become a topic of much discussion online. Eventually, Hisako broaches the question of when she discovered she had powers and if it was under similar circumstances to how her own armor abilities activated, and for that, we transition back in time once more, wherein we can see that Mei was actually researching a certain West African freedom fighter by the name of Storm. Yes, indeed, that Storm did absolutely inspire MYSTORM's whole deal. But the truth goes oh so much deeper than that. Mei's mother asks her to go and introduce herself to the next door neighbor. Apparently the family has just moved into the area, yet every time they try and talk to their neighbors, they're frozen out. Mei does so after school, and she ends up encountering a bunch of weirdness, a cat with a bunch of strange markings all over it, much like the ones we saw in the serial killer string board from the last issue. But stranger still is the young man actually living in the house. He's creepy, he's antisocial, he has the same hairline from the beginning of the comic, and also I feel so dumb for not catching this in the last issue, but he wears a bucket on his head that is totally meant to look like the classic fez hat that the original 616 Shadow King wore. Now, we still don't know this weirdo's name, but his cat ends up scratching Mei, and when she goes home for the night, things go from bad to worse as her dreams are haunted with horrifying twisted images, much like how Hisako's were when she too interacted with the Shadow King. That's all pretty bad, but would you believe it if I told you things are actually worse as we discover the deal with Mei's family? Turns out her father is a dirtbag who's cheating on her mother, and her mother in turn is taking out all of this negativity on her, and once Mei actually bothers to try and stand up for herself at family dinner, she ends up getting physically assaulted by her father, which in turn ends up activating her mutant abilities as she causes an entire rainstorm to kick up inside the house. This turn of events has Mei's parents gobsmacked and horrified, so much to the point that her father ends up absolutely disowning her and kicking her out of the house. Jeez, and here I thought the twisted supernatural J-horror was uncomfortable. Now I want all that stuff to come back as I am forced to deal with much too real feeling horrors of everyday human life. Now, back in the present, the other members of Hisako and Mei's gym team actually end up taking notice of them and how deep in conversation they are after the ball they're playing with ends up sailing past them. Turns out the leader of these kids is actually something of a social pariah herself, the local spooky girl, so named because her parents are actual professional psychics, something that probably would have seemed weird to Hisako a couple days ago, but is pretty normal now. Oh, but this is where things get very, very interesting, everyone. What's spooky girl's name? Well, Nico Minoru, of course. As in Sister Grimm, as in Nico Minoru from the famous Brian K. Vaughan series, The Runaways. Yes, she's here now in Ultimate X-Men, but more importantly than that, Nico is actually very, very observant, perhaps inheriting some of her parents' psychic abilities because she's able to suss out that Mei and Hisako are mutants. Yes, that's right, 3 issues in, and she's the first one to use the word mutant. And so that was Ultimate X-Men issue number 3, everybody, and once again, just when I think I know where this series is going, just when I think I have the whole thing nailed down, they end up completely flipping the table. But in the absolute best way possible. I wouldn't have even considered using Nico in this story, but actually it makes a ton of sense. Her connection to magic actually works really well in a story where it seems like mutants, at least the mutants we're seeing here in this story, actually do have a more mystical basis for their powers. Nico's also just like a beloved fan favorite character that Marvel could never seem to know what to do with, so the fact that she has a prominent place here in this series works for me. Beyond that too, I would say this book is really a masterclass masterclass in how to solicit emotion from the readers. I feel so much reading this book, usually not good things, usually fear or sadness. But the fact that a comic series can be so emotionally effective is something truly special to behold, even if I would probably give this series the badge of feel-bad story of the year. Overall, though, I think I would give this one a very well-deserved 8.5 out of 10. I have no idea where this book is going, and I think that's something super cool in this day and age of comics where I way too often guess twists before they happen. I like the characters, I like the world, and this revelation that the term mutant already does exist is filling my head with ideas about where this could all possibly go. Why do these mutants seem more mystical and magical? Why do the Maker's mutants seem more traditional? I don't know, but I want to find out. Hey there everyone, it's your pal Cape Joel again, and if you're seeing my face right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, and I'll always be grateful for that. Retention helps in this crazy YouTube game, and so does becoming a patron. If you head on down to the description, you can find a link to my Patreon page. Recently just redid all the tiers, a lot of cool stuff offering up there, exclusive commentaries, exclusive polls, behind the scenes concept art for Capes and Quest. That's the brand new D&D show I've started soon. Never been a better time to become a patron. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month and help the channel grow and, help me continue to deliver content like what you just saw. So I want to thank you all, and I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.